Like you said, my name's Raynor. I work out at the Ottawa Conservation District, and I'm the West Michigan SISMA coordinator, so we have a little bit of overlap in name. So our organization is the Conservation Network, but I'm still the Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area Coordinator.
Okay.
So a brief overview of the things I'm going to talk about, just a brief introduction to the organization I work for. What is an invasive, but I feel like you guys probably got a little bit of that this morning, so I'm going to try and push through some of that stuff. Some of the species here in this area, some of the work that we do dealing with these infestations. We're going to talk about missing. Have you guys heard about missing yet?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'll breeze through missing. And then we'll talk about some of the current projects I'm doing with some of the schools now, just to throw some things out there, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So a SISMA is a cooperative invasive species management area. The easiest way to describe it is a partnership of organizations working together to address invasive species across jurisdictional boundaries. So we're here at Roselle Park today. So if Roselle Park is only worried about the invasives on their property and they're not paying attention to what's going on around them, they're not going to be as efficient in dealing with their stuff if the neighbor has plants coming across their boundaries. So our goal is to work with county, state, local, private landowners, nature centers, anyone who's working with invasives to make sure we're doing it collaboratively and cooperatively and sharing resources and knowledge while addressing these issues. So our organization was started back in 2006 as a cluster of the Stewardship Network. How many of you guys have heard of the Stewardship Network? So there's a lot of really good volunteer opportunities and information being put out by the Stewardship Network. We formalized as a CWMA, which is a cooperative weed management area, in 2012. Forest Service has had CWAs out west for years, working with weeds or invasive species on a lot of their grazing lands. And by formalizing that, we got a little bit of money to start doing some of the work, and then officially became a SISMA in 2014 upon receiving Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program money. So that is how I was hired here. Their first grant that they received paid my wages, and I've been here for 2.5 years now, I think. So if you guys seen this before, state of Michigan, here's where all the SISMAs are at. So I have the orange counties over here in West Michigan. Currently all but 6 counties, I believe, are covered by a SISMA, but I think there's things in the works to finish up some of those 6 counties and fill in the rest of this map. So we're here in Kent County today. I go down to Allegan up to Oceana. So a lot of different areas in between. We got a lot of cities and a lot of really rural areas. So very diverse habitat and things going on in our areas. So we're going to start with what is an invasive species. I'm sure Kevin and some others have already talked about this definition. So just so we're all on the same page, state definition of invasive species is something that's not native and something that is likely to or does cause harm to human health, the environment, or the economy. So in the background, you can see that's all garlic mustard growing in, so just a complete monoculture in that understory, not a healthy habitat for anything. I like the poster comic picture because it makes my job sound cooler if you picture me doing that instead of pulling weeds. You guys seen this yet today?
Yep.
All right, everyone can explain it to me, right? So did you guys see this one or a different version of it? Oh, wait. I really like this one just because of the proactive, active, reactive on the top, because some of the other graphs don't have that. They don't really put that in there. So I think it's really interesting to think of it that way and how are we spending our time and what side of that are we working on. So why are we doing this? Why am I here? Why do I have this job? Why do we care about this? Why is the state spending money? So a lot of people think we're just tree huggers and that all we care about is plants and we care about things like that. So I really try and explain to people it's not about that. I don't look at these individual plants as a plant. I look at its impacts on what we like, the wildlife benefits of having these, the hunting opportunities, the boating opportunities we have here in Michigan, things like that. So if we don't take care of these invasive species, it's just like not taking care of trash and other non-point source pollution and things like that. It's about our enjoyment of the outdoors and not about individual plants or hugging trees. So how do these plants get here? A lot of them are brought in intentionally, a lot of habitat, a lot of erosion control, food and medicine. So a lot of these plants were conservation districts in the state of Michigan promoted these plants. So autumn olive was given to everyone how many years ago as it's the best thing in the world. We have to have more autumn olive, and now it's a huge issue. So districts sold autumn olive and gave autumn olive away for a lot of years to a lot of landowners who are now coming back saying, hey, you guys gave this to me, what do I do now? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the species. Have you guys talked about the watch list yet, prohibited, restricted species yet? How many yeses? Yes, who knows about watch list, prohibited, and restricted? All right, we'll talk about it real quick. So
It doesn't put in the context of the watch list.
Correct.
It's just a description of one ordinances we don't want.
Okay. So the watch list, like you said, organisms we don't want here, things to look out for. Prohibited and restricted is Part 413. So it's Michigan law, and there's legal issues with transporting and possessing some of these plants. So I tell everyone that I present to about watch lists, or about prohibited and restricted. So something like Phragmites, I'm saying we all know what Phragmites is. If you go cut down Phragmites and you throw it in the back of my truck, and I drive it down the road, that's illegal. So it's illegal transportation of those species. So you have to have a permit to do that. So want to point out to people there are some issues with transporting some of these things. So if you are doing some of this work, you got to be careful. You got to know what plants you're working with and what rules you have to follow when it comes to transportation. And in the slides it says what the species are. So you can see Chinese yam is a watch list species and not prohibited and restricted. So Chinese yam is one of the plants we work with. So I'm just going to kind of run through, I think, 10 of the plants that we work with, some of the focuses here in West Michigan. And then when we talk at the end, we'll talk about some opportunities to work with some of these plants and then some of the ones you guys have already talked about earlier today. Chinese yam is a new vine here in West Michigan. It's really big down in Allegan County. There's a ton of it down there. Some here in Grand Rapids-ish area, Jesse, I think, right? One in Grand Rapids. It's a new vine that's here, so it's on the watch list. In 2015, there's only one site in all of Michigan, and we're up to like 40 or 50 now. So it's something that's pretty present. Japanese knotweed. How many of you guys know what Japanese knotweed is?
Oh, Jeff is the pro.
Yeah. You guys should all know what this is. This is the worst plant. So this is something that grows in a lot of right-of-ways. It was planted as privacy buffers at a lot of neighborhoods, and it's something that's really, really hard to get rid of. So it's known as Michigan bamboo or Mexican bamboo, or some other names for it. So you can see it's got hollow stems just like bamboo. I'm sure there's some growing around here.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to think of the closest.
There was some at the end of this road.
So if you guys want to know where some's at and see some on the way home, talk to Jessie, and she can tell you how to find some when you guys leave here. So it forms really thick, dense stands, monocultures, nothing grows underneath it. It's very, very hard to get rid of once you have it. Cutting it down, mowing it is the worst thing you can do because it's only going to spread it. Sorry, you guys can't see this. This is a picture in Holland. This is somebody's garage. So the plant's growing up the wall of the garage and coming out at the top by the soffit fascia stuff, by your eavesdrops, whatever those things are called up top. So this is a huge issue. I have pictures in Jackson, Michigan, where it's growing into someone's basement. It's growing through their wall, and plants are coming into their basement. So this is a really destructive plant. It grows through parking lots, through asphalts. Huge issue for infrastructure. So this is a big one that we work with out here in West Michigan, and it's a pretty common plant. So I know you guys are from all over the place. I looked at that list, but I guarantee wherever you guys are from, I guarantee there's knotweed there. Phragmites. We all know what Phragmites is? All right. So not as big of a deal out here in West Michigan as Saginaw Bay, Southeast Michigan areas, but still a priority to work with. I've had a lot of success working with this plant in the Grand River, and we've knocked out, I think they said like 95% of the Grand River frag from Grand Haven back down the river mouth. So it's something we're working with. There is a native Phragmites, so if you think you have native, make sure you get that tested or looked at prior to treating it. Black and pale swallowwort. How many of you guys like horses? Couple horse people? So this is really toxic to horses. This can kill horses. How many of you guys like monarch butterflies? Everyone raise your hand. Everyone likes monarchs. This is an issue for monarchs. This is a monarch sink. So monarchs lay their eggs on this plant, and those young can't survive. So this is one of the many things contributing to the monarch issues. It's a vine. It's known as dog strangling vine. Those flowers, just for a size reference, are about the size of your pinky fingernail. They're really small. You'll walk right by them and not even notice them. So this is really common here in Grand Rapids area. Downtown Grand Rapids is covered in it. There's some other in surrounding. There's some in Newaygo County, some in Ottawa County. So it's kind of all over the place here and there. Some in Allegan County actually too. So it's one of these ones that we're starting to work with that has the potential for being a big issue for not only monarchs but livestock as well. Kudzu. Who knows what kudzu is? The plant in the swallow of the South. So it's not here in big numbers in Michigan. There's 2 spots in Michigan, one down in Allegan County and one up in Traverse City area, whatever county that is. And both spots, it was intentionally planted. Somebody went down south and brought it back up and brought it here illegally. So they thought the flower was pretty and they thought that it would help stabilize their dune areas. And now people are stuck dealing with this issue because people brought it here. So both sites are under management. The Allegan County one's going pretty well. They're making a lot of progress down there, but potential to spread everywhere because it's right on a bluff of Lake Michigan and big storms come in and pull pieces of that away and spread it. So who knows where it could be in Chicago by now, and we wouldn't know because you can't really predict those storms. How many guys have pulled garlic mustard? How many guys want to pull more garlic mustard? I'm sure I can find you guys plenty of days to go help hand pull some of this garlic mustard. So garlic mustard is one of those plants that's really easy for classrooms and other volunteer groups to get involved with. You don't really need anything other than trash bags and gloves if you guys want them. It's biannual. It's a huge issue. First year plants you can pull in the fall if you guys want to do fall pullings. But it's something that the Stewardship Network is really proactive with. They have the garlic mustard pull, if you guys have heard of that. That is fun to be a part of, and it's something that people can work towards and be excited about. Purple loosestrife. How many of you guys know how purple loosestrife is being controlled or managed in Michigan? What is it? Beetles. So biocontrol. So this is one of the plants that have biocontrol here in Michigan. So there's 2 beetles that are released. There's beetles that are being reared in Holland. Most people don't know that. So if people are looking to get their hands on beetles, there's people that have a bunch of them but don't have homes for them. So if you guys are interested in getting beetles and doing beetle releases and things like that, people want to get rid of them and they can't get rid of them. So, all right, a couple more plants. Flowering rush. Flowering rush is one of the aquatic plants here, southeast Michigan, Shiawassee area covered in it. We have a few spots here in the Grand River that we're working with, but not as big of a issue out here in West Michigan as it is on the other side of the state. We do a little bit of work with it. European frogbit. Anyone in the Grand Rapids area, I hope you guys have heard of this plant. Anyone in Michigan, I hope has heard of this, but Grand Rapids especially. So this is a plant that's shown up in Grand Rapids a year and a half ago, last fall, I think. That's in Reeds Lake and Fisk Lake. It's also on Aquinas College in their detention ponds leaving Fisk Lake, moving towards the Grand River. So this is one that I spent 2 years working with when I worked with the state doing this kind of stuff. That's followed me out here now. That we work a lot with Aquinas College students. I had 2 students all summer that went weekly and did all their hand pulls, and it was kind of a big, I would say, success story for them because they got a couple students that got experience, got to do all this, got hands-on, and they did a really good job, and we have really low numbers come this fall of frogbit coming back. So it's something that, a partnership that I want to keep growing on with them. So this is a little lily pad looking plant. It's about the size of a quarter that I have like nightmares about this stuff. So that's a picture of the canal. The picture on your guys' left is a picture of the canal between Reeds Lake and Fisk Lake. So right where that road, whatever road that is, goes over the canal right by Remington Park. That's where that's at. Yellow floating heart. This is another aquatic plant that's here in West Michigan. We are up to 3 sites now around here that looks like it was sold. It's a prohibited plant. It was sold to them. It was in pots and it was brought into these water gardens. So 2 of the 3 are under management. The 3rd one we're working on options for dealing with. So it's a lily pad about the size of the palm of your hand. It's a good size reference for this one. Very distinct 5-petaled yellow flowers. And I think this is one's probably that's more widespread around here. But I don't go on enough private properties to find it because 2 times ago. 2 times ago, after work, I went to a farm-to-table event for American Cancer Society, pulled in, looked to my side, and I was like, I already know that's what it is. Walk over to the pond, and that's what it is. So it's a matter of just getting out on enough private property to find the rest of these patches. This is one here in Grand Rapids that we hand-pulled, so that's all yellow floating heart. 2 days of pulling. This is all yellow floating heart, and I think in total there was 50-some pots where it was planted in that we took out of there and then worked with the state, got a dumpster, and got it properly disposed of. And we're continuing to work with this landowner.